Hello. Evie says hello too. Hold on, let me bring this nice and close. I am back to give you another free pattern. Not the pattern that I was expecting to do. I have like a whole bunch of like trash up there, but this pattern kind of came out of the blue and I wanted to share it with you. I am putting out a little Totoro pattern. I think it's very easy. I think it's straightforward. It uses like very basic stitches. The only thing is that it uses like a little bit of a different sewing technique. So I think it's beginner because it pretty much just uses single crochet, increase and decrease. I'm not joking. Like that's it. So I think you can do it. I know, like, let me get this straight. Because to me, beginner doesn't necessarily mean I've never crocheted before. Beginner could mean like, I know the basics. I know what a single crochet is. I know how to crochet. Like does not teach you how to crochet. But I think it's a great beginner pattern for someone that kind of knows how to crochet, but maybe needs a little help along the way. But it's pretty much the same stitch over and over again. So hopefully that makes sense. I've taken lots of feedback of zooming in on projects. So I've tried to do a really good job of making it very clear, very zoomed in on what I'm talking about. So hopefully that makes sense, but I feel like I'm rambling now. So this is a little Totoro pattern. This uses size 4 yarn. If you want, what's great about Amigurumi, this is my favorite thing about Amigurumi, is that you can just size up the yarn and hook and make a big chunky version. The only difference is that I did a little bit different technique with the eyes. Instead of using felt, which I used for this one, I decided to just make a magic circle of 8 and then sew down the eyes in the same way that I sewed down the body. I think this uses 15 millimeter eyes. It really does depend on tension and the yarn that you're using. This one uses Chenille Home Light or Sweet Snuggles Light. Honestly, I have no idea why there's two versions from the same brand that are like almost identical. Almost identical. I don't get it. Evie, wanna go? I don't know where I was. Let me go over my notes for this pattern. A couple of things that I want to break down before you start is that this pattern uses US terms. So all of the crochet terms are in US terminology. This pattern pretty much works exclusively within the round. So you're going around in circles without stopping. So you're not ending a row or anything like that. It's like in the round. You just keep working. The single crochet method that I use is the yarn under technique. It just makes your piece a little bit, like the stitches a little bit tighter and a little bit boxier, which is my preference. If you want, you can do the yarn over or a combination of that. That's totally fine. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's totally fine too. I do have a video on it if you want to check that out, but it really doesn't matter. Just note that if you're using the yarn over technique of single crochet or just crocheting in general, your piece is going to turn out a little bit bigger. As always, I put the pattern in the description, so you can check that out below. If you want, you can copy and paste it and print it out. What else do I have to say? Oh yeah, this pattern is a free pattern. Okay, free pattern. So you can use it to do essentially whatever you want with, as long as you don't like try and replicate and sell the pattern itself. Like, it's here, it's free. Like, what I don't understand that part, because I've seen my patterns from YouTube taken and put on Ribbler. It's free. Don't try and take it and sell it. That's not the point of it. If you do use this pattern and you do post it on social media, I would love if you tag me so I could see it. That would mean the world to me. Yeah, I think that's it. That was a lot of rambling, but yeah, if you liked it, if you like this pattern, please give the video a like. If you like my content, please subscribe, even though, you know, I have ups and downs in motivation of like when I put out patterns. It's a lot of work. I have to design it and then, you know, film it, voice over it. It's a lot of work. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy the pattern. Let's go. Okay, so let's talk materials. So first, let's talk yarn. So I'm using size 4 acrylic yarn. This is Paintbox Simply Erin. Again, it's a size 4 worsted weight yarn. It's acrylic. You can see that we are using paper white, which is color 200. We are using, oh, I actually don't know what color this is, 205, whatever that color is, but a gray. I have a darker gray. And then we are using you just need like a little bit of like scrap black yarn, like literally like this much. Like that's it. You just need a tiny bit of black yarn, but you can use any kind of yarn. Like it really doesn't matter. I am using a 3.0 millimeter hook. That's the only hook that we need for this project. If you are going chunky, one of these guys, like Sweet Snuggles Light, this one is a size 6 super bulky. It recommends a size 8, but I use a size 6 instead. So just FYI on that. You're gonna need some scissors. I have my yarn scissors here, and then I also have felt scissors. So these ones are nice and sharp, like sharp, 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 sharp. And then I have a yarn needle or a tapestry needle. And then we've got some stitch markers. You only need one really. And then I have some safety eyes and their backing. So these are 6 millimeter safety eyes. You're also gonna need some white felt if you are designing it with the white felt eyes. And then you're gonna need a boatload of stuffing. Just as I was cleaning up, I totally forgot, you need some pins. You need some sewing pins. When you're doing the assembly, these are super helpful for like positioning things into place. It's not a huge deal, you can work without it. I would say they're more optional than anything, but I find them super helpful for kind of just placing things and, you know, making sure they're in the right spot before you actually sew them in. Okay, so to start, we're gonna start with the body. And for this video, I'm gonna try and like voiceover, I guess it's not voiceover if I'm doing it currently, but I'm gonna try and explain to, I'm gonna try and explain what I'm doing as I go. So we are gonna start with the body. I guess it's like the whole thing, like head, body, all of it. It's like a little lump, right? So we're gonna start with that. And to start, we are gonna do a magic circle of 8. You can do the the chain 2 and single crochet in second chain from hook method. But I just prefer with the size 4 yarn that you use the magic circle. That's my preference, but you do what you want. If we're using like chunky yarn that's super fluffy, the chain 2 method is my preference, just because pulling it, like it has a tendency to break. But for this yarn, we are going to do a magic circle. And the way that I do my magic circles is kind of like an advanced slip knot. I do have a video on that, but I might have to like re-record it. So essentially we're gonna take the yarn in our hand, pinch it between your thumb and your finger, wrap it around 2 fingers and like over top of that previous one, and hold it with your thumb again. And then this one's gonna go over your 2 fingers again. I'm gonna go under that first piece of yarn and kind of pick up that loose yarn and hold it in the back with like 2 fingers. 2 of my other fingers that aren't being used. So now if we were to just go like this, it would be a slip knot, but instead of doing that, we are going to just kind of hold it in the back. So this is how we were. I'm gonna yarn over and I'm gonna like basically do a little chain. So now I can kind of let go, I can kind of move this around, and now I can put all of my, my single crochets in here. So I'm gonna do a magic circle of 8. So I'm gonna put 8 single crochets in here. So 8 single crochets. So 8 stitches there. And then I'm gonna pull this yarn nice and tight to close up our magic circle. And then Then we're going to take our stitch marker, put it on our last single crochet, and close that tight. And now we are going to go into this stitch right here. This is our first stitch, and we're going to put 2 single crochets. So this is turning into round 1. And for round 1, we are going to increase in every single stitch around. So you'll do increase times 8. And remember, increases are just 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So 8 all the way around. And then that should leave us with a total of 16 stitches. Okay, so you'll have a little circle like this. For round 2, we're going to do something similar, but we are going to single crochet and then increase. And we're going to do that combination of stitches 8 times around. So you'll go single crochet, and then increase. 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 Single crochet, and increase. So I'm going to be doing a lot of stitches, so I'm going to end up having to cut certain things just to make these little sections shorter, but you can pause it and then I'll come back at the end of the round. So for round 2, we finished our single crochet and increase round, and we went up by 8 stitches. So we had 16, and now we have 24 stitches all the way around. Okay, so for round 3, we are going to single crochet 2 now, and then increase, and we're going to do that pattern 8 times around. So we're going up again another 8 stitches, and then we'll be left with 32 stitches total. So we're going to go around and we're going to single crochet, and then single crochet 2, and then increase. Then we're going to do that again, single crochet 2 and increase. And we're going to do that all the way around. If you want, you can pause here, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, I'm just doing my last set of single crochet 2 and then increase. So if we count up all of our stitches, we'll have 32 stitches. Okay, so for round 4, we are gonna just straight single crochet all the way around now. So because we're not increasing, we're not decreasing, we'll have the same amount of stitches, which is 32. So go ahead and pause it here, and then I'll meet you back at the end of the round. Okay, so I'm just finishing up round 4 now. And I'll have 32 stitches at the end, same as last time. And now we're starting to get this little circular shape. It's kind of evening out, but it's starting to like tilt downwards, if that makes sense. So this is the top of my piece. This is like the wrong side of my piece. You can see the yarn tail coming out. This is the top, and it's starting to make like a little bit of a curve, which is great. That's exactly what we want. Okay, so for round 5, we're gonna increase again, but we're gonna increase by 4 instead of 8 this time. And to do this, we will need to single crochet 7 and then increase. And then we'll do that combination 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then increase. So that's going to be our combination, and you're going to do that 4 times. So I will meet you back at the end. Okay, so I'm just finishing up my last increase here. And at the end of this round, we should have 36 stitches. So if you want to go ahead and give it a count just to make sure that you are on the right track, go ahead and do that. But for the next 3 rounds, we are going to straight single crochet around. So from round 6 through round 8, we're going to straight single crochet around each row will have, or sorry, not row, round will have 36 stitches that we have here. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly whip through there, and then I'll meet you guys back at the end. Okay, so I have just finished up round 8, and this is what we've got. So it's starting to really curl here. If your piece looks like this, I encourage you to go like this. So have this little string on the inside of your piece. It has a tendency, like crochet in general, just has a tendency to just curl like this. So I've just gotten into the habit. I don't know how I really got into the habit of doing it, but I tend to start flipping my piece out very early on. It's just, I have no idea how I've done it. It just happens at this point. But if it looks like this, just give it a flip this way. I just find that the stitches look a little bit neater, but if you prefer this side, that's totally fine. It's up to you, it's your piece. Especially with the yarn under method, I like seeing these little boxes. By boxes I mean the stitches, but they look boxier, and I just find them look like very uniform and very neat, but it's up to you. So for round 10, right? We're on round 10, right? No, we're on round 9. Oh my god, I'm already losing track. We're on round 9. We are going to increase again by 4, and to do this we are going to single crochet 8 and then increase, and then we're going to do that 4 times. So you'll have like increasing by 4. A handy way to see like approximately where you'll be is by finding the increase stitch that you did last, which is right here, and it should line up with like all of your stitches, so you'll be right around here, but it's always good to count. I always count. 6, 7, 8. So I look down here. So once I've done the 8 stitches, I look down here to see if it makes sense. So like this is the increase stitch. It created these 2 stitches and these 2 stitches and these 2 stitches. And so I am gonna put mine in the furthest most of the 2 stitches. So because that previous one was single crochet 7 and increase, this is single crochet 8 and increase, and we always kind of move towards the right when we crochet, at least when you're crocheting right-handed. I don't know how it is for left-handed, to be honest. Let me know if you know. I don't know, does anyone crochet left-handed? I'm curious how many people actually do. I know there is a very small population that actually does, but right-handed is most common. Anyways, I forgot what I was talking about. So we're just gonna keep single crochet 8 and increase, single crochet 8, increase, single crochet 8, increase, single crochet 8, increase. So 4 times total. So I'm gonna meet you back at the end, give it a pause, and keep single crocheting 8 and increasing all the way around. Another good way to know if you probably have the right stitches is, and I don't say guaranteed the right stitches, but probably, is if you end on the increase, because the math just works out that way. So if you end on an increase, you likely have the right amount of stitches. But if you're not super confident in, like, if you've dropped a stitch accidentally or picked up a stitch accidentally, just give it a count. It's no biggie. But we've increased 4 for round 9. We've increased 4, so that leaves us with 40 stitches. Hopefully that makes sense, because we were just at 36, we added 4 more stitches, and now we've got 40. And now we are gonna single crochet around. We're gonna single crochet 40 stitches, and we are gonna do that. How many times did I write down? 4 times. So rounds 10 through 13 are gonna be single crochet around. Sorry, I'm like referencing my pattern as I'm doing this, but single crochet around 4 rounds. And I will meet you at the end, give the video a pause, and we'll meet back up. I just finished up round 13, just the 4 rounds of straight single crochet, each being 40 stitches. So now we're going to increase again by 4, and to do that we are going to single crochet 9 and then increase 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then increase. We're gonna do that 4 times or all the way around, and then we should be left with a total of 44 stitches. So give it a pause here and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so just finished up round 14, which was single crochet 9, increase. I am left with 44 stitches here, and then we're gonna do the same thing of round 10 through 13. So for round 15 through 18, we are gonna straight single crochet around. Each round will be 44 stitches. It's gonna be 4 rounds total. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start straight single crocheting. So single crochet 44 all the way around for 4 rounds. This will take us to the end of round 18. Okay, so just finished up with round 18, our 4 rounds of straight single crochet, each 44 stitches a piece. And now we're going to be moving on to round 19, and we are going to single crochet 10 and then increase. We're going to do that 4 times. So single crochet 10 and then increase. Single crochet 10, increase, single crochet 10, increase, single crochet 10, increase, and then that will leave us with 48 stitches. So just finishing up my last increase for round 19. I should have 48 stitches at the end. And so for round 20 and 21, we are going to straight single crochet all the way around, so that's 48 stitches each, just twice. So I'm going to meet you back once I've done the 2 rounds of straight single crochet all the way around. I know this is a lot of stopping and starting, but truly it takes me too long to get around the round for me to justify just filming all of it, so I hope you guys understand. Okay, I'll meet you guys back at the beginning of the round after I've done 2 rounds. Okay, so I just finished up rounds 20 and 21, which were just straight single crochet all the way around, each one equaling 48. We're gonna take a little bit of a break from single crocheting just to put the face on. So I am going to kind of position my piece with the tail at the back here. I find this easiest just because like you have these rounds that line up in a specific way rather than having like the cut of each round. I don't know, maybe that doesn't make any sense, but you can see the spiral kind of cuts here. So I'm gonna try and take the front half, or what I'm gonna call the front half of the piece, and we're gonna work here. So the eyes I have decided are going to be placed between round 7 and round 8. And to count that, we kind of take our top spiral. You can see this piece is like, I don't consider the magic circle a round. So I'm gonna count rounds based on what's after that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 here. So I've kind of made this as like the eye area, I guess. So you can see on my finished one here, it's still gonna be quite near the top. And once my hook's stuck in there. And once we stuff, it'll kind of like pop out the top of the head a little bit more. But I find kind of between round 7 and 8 is where I prefer to put the eyes. Alternatively, you can like wait until the very end and you can just glue these eyes down after you like position and place everything. But if you want it to be like with the backings, I find it helpful to do it while this is open. I'm using 6mm safety eyes, and then I have these backings as well. These ones are very tight, so I prefer to use these for like my small amigurumi so they don't slip out. And then what we're gonna do is we're also gonna take our white felt and we're gonna make the whites of the eyes while we do this. It'll make sense. It'll make sense eventually. So what I do, I have like a whole bunch of pieces cut out here, but I'm just gonna take like a little spot here, and I usually like to take a needle first and giving like quite a bit of space, like enough so that we can like shape the eye after. I'm gonna like poke a little hole with a little needle. And if that's enough to fit your safety eye through, that's totally fine. But I find I need some sharp scissors, and just be super careful while doing this because they're sharp, and kind of open up that hole a little bit more. And then I stick the safety eye through. Then after that, I'm going to cut out in kind of like a square shape around the eye, leaving about like that much space around it. Obviously, if you have a bigger safety eye, do a bigger white. You can always cut more off, but you can't add more on, if that makes any sense. So next, I'm going to do the other one before we start shaping. So I don't know why I like to use the needle first. I don't know, I think because I can push it through easier. And then sometimes I'm able to just push it through, but usually I need just kind of a little bit of a cut. There we go. And then take our scissors and cut out a little rectangle or square shape. And that's kind of all we need the felt for, so you can put that away. Now, this is the tricky part. So the way that I like to cut out these eyes is to kind of have like a wider section or a thicker section on one side of the eye and a thinner section on the other side of the eye. And you don't want to go like too small with the whites, like just do little bits at a time. And the hardest part is matching it to each eye and making them the same. So I'm just gonna cut out kind of like an egg yolk or an egg white. You know when you crack an egg and then it like, yeah, whatever. You know what, never mind, ignore that. So you're just gonna like cut out kind of like a bigger section on one side, smaller section on the other. Kind of like that. We can make that smaller if we need to later. And then we're gonna do the same on the other side. Always go bigger and then work smaller. So much easier to just like snip off little pieces rather than literally trying to redo the whole thing and cut out a new piece. So let's find the front of our piece again. And then we go between 7 and 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 here. And I'm gonna do them 5 apart. So 5 holes apart. So you can count them by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then put it in the 6th one over. So it should look a little bit like that. And if you're happy with how they look, you can put in your backings. And then we're gonna take our little piece of black thread and we're gonna make a little nose in between here. So we're gonna take our black thread and we're gonna go up the middle right hand side, so away from the eye it's like 1 hole away, and then you're gonna go into the 2nd hole away, and then you're gonna go up, and then you're gonna go like 2 holes over, so 1 and 2, and you go back down. So then it should be 1 hole away from the other safety eye. And I just kind of leave it like that. I think that implies nose enough, but if you want to go again, you can do like two wraps of it around. And I just give it a little tie there. And then that's kind of our face. It looks very wonky, but we'll wait to stuff it before we trim any of the whites. And now we can go back to actually crochet. So now we should be decreasing. We'll be at our set of decreases. And to start with our set of decreases, we are on round 22, and we are going to single crochet 4 and then decrease all the way around, and that's 8 times. So single crochet 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're gonna do an invisible decrease. When I say decrease, I always mean invisible decrease with amigurumi. Well, I guess not, okay, almost always mean invisible decrease. If it's anything else, I say single crochet 2 together, but invisible decrease with amigurumi is like super crucial. So this is like super important technique to learn. To invisible decrease, so we've done our 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and invisible decrease, we are going to pick up the front loop only of the next 2 stitches. Then we're going to yarn over or yarn under in my case and pull through those 2 loops, yarn over or under in my case, and pull through the 2 loops. So it should end up like this. So it makes like a smaller of a gap for less of the stuffing to show through. So single crochet 4, invisible decrease 8 times all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, and invisible decrease. So front 2 loops here, yarn under, pick up that loop, and there you go. So you're gonna do that all the way around. So I'm gonna meet you at the end because this is quite a few stitches. So we're gonna do a similar method of just kind of decreasing down. So last round was single crochet 4 decrease. Now we're gonna single crochet 3 decrease. The next one's gonna be single crochet 2 decrease, and the next one's gonna be single crochet decrease. And then we're gonna stop and stuff. So we are on round 23, and we are going to single crochet 3 and decrease 8 times. So 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. Remember, invisible decrease. 1, 2, 3, and then invisible decrease. And you can see how like our invisible decreases kind of line up. Again, it always shifts towards the right, but I will meet you back at the end of this round. Okay, so just finishing up the last decrease. Oh. And we should have 32 stitches at the end of this round because we decreased by 8. So like I said, for round 24, we are going to single crochet 2 and then decrease. Single crochet 2 and then decrease, and you're going to do that 8 times around, and that will leave you with the 24 stitches left. So I will meet you back at the beginning. Okay, just finishing up the last stitch here. Okay, and now we are going to single crochet and then decrease all the way around. Now I'm starting to get like squeaky yarn, but single crochet, decrease all the way around, and then this will leave you with 16 stitches. Okay, finishing up the last stitch, and if you don't end on like a decrease, then usually you have the wrong number of stitches, but we should have 16 stitches at the end here. And now we're gonna take another little break, and we are going to stuff this bad boy. So grab some polyester fiber fill, and we're gonna stuff him quite firmly. And I kind of like to flatten it out against like around the outside of the outside of the inside first, to try and make like a thin, nice shape of stuffing, so it doesn't get like, I don't know, a little wonky on the outside. It's nice and smooth on the outside, but essentially you're just gonna pack stuffing in. I like to pack mine pretty firmly, but it's up to you. If you want a little extra squish, that's fine, but I like mine to hold its shape quite well. I think that's pretty good there. I think it looks pretty cute. Give him a little mush around to see how stuffed he is, but I think that's pretty good. We do have like a small chance to stuff at the end. So for the last round, round 27, we are going to decrease, invisible decrease, times 8. So we're literally going to decrease every single set that we have. Okay. Last stitch. Right there. Okay, so you should still have a little bit of a hole left, in which I just grab a little bit more stuffing and I just kind of fill up the last little bit right there. And now we can take our scissors and we can cut. Not too much yarn. I find that this part doesn't need a lot. I don't know, a few inches, probably less than this actually, but I'm gonna zoom out a little bit because this piece is getting a little bit big. There we go. It's a little bit better. So we're gonna take our yarn needle, tapestry needle, and now we're gonna work on closing this off. So to close it off, we are gonna pick up the front loops only of the remaining stitches. Actually, I might need to zoom in for this, never mind. Okay, welcome back. So we're gonna take the front loop only of the remaining 8 stitches, and I like to pull tight and hold it with my pointer finger on my other hand and pick up the front loop of the next one, pull tight and back. We're gonna literally do that for all 8 remaining stitches. I find it's very helpful to do this like pull method when you're using the chunky fluffy yarn so you don't break the yarn. If you pull it slightly every single time, it won't like break as much, but for this yarn, it's usually pretty straightforward. It doesn't really break. I think there's this lot. I wasn't counting the stitches, but I think there was one there. So that is it. And now to get rid of this piece of yarn, because it's here, all we're gonna do is we're gonna push it through that close that we just made and push it out and away. And I find this like enough to hold my pieces together, but if you want to be like extra secure, you can make a knot here before you pull it through. You can see I can kind of pull, I don't know. I just find that this doesn't really go anywhere, especially if I loop it back around again. So if I want it to be extra secure without putting a knot in, I'll try and find like an invisible way to hide it. And I'll go again. And I'll go out the back, let's say. So you can't really see kind of where I've put that stitch. And it kind of just disappears in there. And I find that that's enough to hold it, but if you want to put a knot, that's up to you. Totally fine. There you go. So now we've made the body, the main piece of our little Totoro. We're gonna put this body aside and we are gonna start working on the ears now. So we're gonna take the same colored yarn, and instead of a magic circle of 8, we are gonna do a magic circle of 4. So magic circle the same way that we did before, except we do 4 stitches within our magic circle. Just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and pull that closed. And then this is our last stitch, so I'm going to put a stitch marker on the last stitch because that's how I prefer to mark my stitches. And then for round 1, we are going to go into the first stitch and we are going to single crochet. And then in the next stitch over, we are going to increase. And then single crochet. And then increase. So we've done a single crochet increase combination 2 times. And we had 4 stitches, we increased twice, giving us 6 stitches at the end of round 1. For round 2, we are going to single crochet 2 and then increase. We're gonna do that twice. 1, 2, and then increase into our last stitch. And we increase by 2, so we should have 8 stitches at the end of round 2. And then for round 3, we are going to single crochet 3 and then increase. We're going to do that twice. Increase at the end. So now we should have 10 stitches at the end of the round. So for round 4, we are going to single crochet 4 and then increase. 3, 4, and then increase into the 5th stitch. And then we're going to do that again. So single crochet 4 and then increase into the last stitch here. So we should have 12 stitches at the end of this round. Go. So now for rounds 5 and 6, we are going to just straight single crochet both of those rounds. So 12 stitches a piece, twice. I'm gonna meet you back at the end here. Okay, so this is what it should look like at the end of those 2 rounds. So like kind of a little bit of a cone shape. And then for round 7, we are going to single crochet 4 and then invisible decrease. So we're gonna start working back down. 3, 4, and then we're going to invisible decrease. Remember, we do that by picking up the front loops only of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, yarn over there. And then we're going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and decrease. Like that. Okay, so for how many stitches was it? Did I tell you how many stitches that was? Well, anyways, at the end of that round, at the end of round 7, we should have 10 stitches in total. So for round 8, we are going to single crochet 3 and then invisible decrease. So working down the same way that we worked up. 1, 2, 3. An invisible decrease. And at the end of this round, we should have 8 because we're only decreasing by 2. And then for round 9, we are going to single crochet 2 and then decrease. And we're going to do that twice as well. Single crochet 2, decrease, single crochet 2, and then decrease. Okay, so you should have a little shape like this. It's kind of like it opens up and then it comes back down, so kind of like a diamond shape. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the back of our crochet hook and we're gonna stuff it with a little bit of stuffing. And before that, let's cut our yarn tail because we are done. I'm gonna give this one like a little bit extra just because I know I'm gonna be sewing this one in. And you're gonna pull out that loop. We're gonna add stuffing now. I'm just gonna take a little bit of stuffing. And you know, sometimes it's easier to kind of, maybe I should have stuffed it at the second last round, but I find just using the back of my crochet hook kind of works. And you don't really need that much. It's a small piece, right? So just enough to kind of like, you still want it to be flat-ish, but you still want it to have some structure to it. So just like a little bit of stuffing, just so that it like holds itself firmly. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna put that one to the side and you're gonna make an identical copy of this. I recommend anything that you do that requires like a second to match, try and do it at the same time so that you have the same tension. The worst, like I always do this in which I make one arm or one ear and then the next day or a couple days later I make the other one and it's like a totally different size even though it's the same pattern, and it's just because of tension, like my tension's a little bit different. So make one after another Promise you, it's the best move. So I'm gonna go ahead and repeat those instructions, but you, with the handy dandy perks of YouTube, you can just go back and rewatch the ear instructions. And then we'll probably meet back up when I have 2. Okay, so I will see you guys when I've got 2 ears. Okay, so I have finished up my 2 ears. They are slightly different, even though I crocheted them at the same time. That's totally fine. Everything's fine. I mean, they're similar enough. Whatever, don't think about it too much. So those are the ears done. You can go ahead and put those to the side. So for the tail, we're gonna do a magic circle of 6 this time. So for the actual body, we did a magic circle of 8, and then for the ears, we did a magic circle of 4, and now we are doing a magic circle of 6. So we've got all of the magic circles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3. So magic circle of 6, I'm gonna put my stitch marker on the last stitch over here. And then, oh, I need to look at my pattern again. Okay, so for the round 1, we are going to make an increase in every stitch. So increase times 6, or all the way around. And this will leave us with 12 stitches at the end of the round. Okay. Almost done. Okay, last one is 12. There we go. So now we should have 12 stitches right here. For round 2, we are going to increase for the first 3 stitches here. So increase, increase, and then increase. So increase times 3, right? And then we're going to single crochet times 3. So straight single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to increase times 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we are going to single crochet our last 3. So we have essentially just increased by 6 because we put 3 increases over here, 3 increases over here. And the reason that I decided to do that is because it makes it, instead of a circle, I mean, you can kind of see it here. Instead of like a straight circle, this is more of like an oval shape. And the tail is kind of like an oval shape. So that's why I did that. But it's essentially only increasing 6 times. So we had 12 at the end of the previous row, and we increased times 6. So now we have 18 stitches here. For the next 4 rounds, we are going to straight single crochet all the way around. So I'm gonna skip ahead to the end once I've done all 4 rounds of straight single crochet, and each round will be 18 stitches if you want to count at the end. So I'm gonna skip ahead there. I finished up rounds 3 through 6, single crocheting those 4 rounds. And now we're gonna start decreasing, and we're just going to do like 1 round of decrease. And we're gonna kind of do it in the same way that we increased, with like all of the decreases on one side and then the other side. So we are going to invisible decrease the first, I guess, it's not really 3, the first 6 stitches, I guess. We're gonna invisible decrease 3 times to start, and then we are going to single crochet 3. And then we are going to invisible decrease again. We're gonna do that 3 times. Oh, I feel like I'm missing a stitch. Okay, I'm definitely missing a stitch somewhere. So if you did this correctly, you should have 3 stitches at the end. I don't, I only have 2, but let's just ignore that. I don't know where I put that stitch, but you should have 3 at the end if you did it properly. I don't even know where it went. Where did it go? So you should have decrease times 3, single crochet times 3, decrease times 3, single crochet times 3. I don't know what I did, but whatever, that's fine. It still looks cute and small and kind of flappy, so we're gonna go with it. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So I'm gonna take some stuffing after I've cut the yarn, and I'm just gonna kind of stuff it and trying to keep more of a flat shape to it, so you don't have to stuff it too firmly, just like a little bit here. And then you should have like a little flipper like thing with like, it's kind of like a little oval shape. Does that make sense? Okay, so now put that one off to the side and you've finished the tail. Okay, so now we are gonna make the belly, and the belly is gonna use the white yarn. So I've got my paint box white yarn, size 4. We'll take our 3.0 hook again, and we are gonna make a magic circle of 8. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And pull that nice and tight. I'm gonna zoom in again so you can see what I'm doing, unlike I've done in the last videos. And we're gonna put our stitch marker back on here on our last stitch. And for round 1, we are going to increase in every single stitch. So we had 8 stitches and we're gonna increase 8. So increase into every single stitch, and then you will have 16 stitches at the end. For round 2, we are going to single crochet and then increase. We're gonna do that combination 8 times. So at the end of this round, we should have 24 stitches. Round 3 will be single crochet 2 and then increase. You're gonna do that 8 times or all the way around. Okay, so just finished up those 32 stitches, and now we're gonna do round 4, which is our last round of increasing, and we are going to single crochet 3 and then increase. And you're gonna do that 8 times or all the way around, and then you should have 40 stitches at the end of that. So I'm gonna meet you back at the beginning, give the video a pause, and I'll meet you at the end there. And you can see that we've kind of got like, it's like an octagon going, because we've got each, like the increases kind of line up and make these like straight segments that go across. So to get rid of that, we are just going to single crochet around, and this should kind of even out those kind of points. So we are going to single crochet 40 all the way around back to the beginning. So I will quickly crochet this, give the video a pause, and I'll meet you back at the beginning there. Okay, so I've just finished up round 5. You can see we don't really have that octagon shape anymore. It's kind of nice and evened out. And what we're gonna do now is we are going to cut quite a long tail, because we're gonna end up stitching all of these stitches into the body. So I'm gonna give like a fairly long tail. I always like to use a little extra rather than not enough. So nice tail, but you can see that like this is kind of gross, right? Like what is this? What is this little jut out piece? Like if we just stitched it in, it's like, it's not right. We can't leave that. So we're gonna take our needle and our yarn tail, and we're gonna make an invisible stitch or an invisible finish in the next stitch, or not the next stitch, but the stitch from that. So to make an invisible finish, this would be our next stitch that we would go into, right? Because, you know, that was the stitch that we ended in. And then this would be our first stitch of the next round. But we're gonna skip over that one, and we are going to go under both loops, so the front loop and the back loop of the second stitch. We're gonna just pull that yarn through. You can see it kind of ends up like this. And we're gonna kind of fake a stitch here by going into the back loop of our last stitch. So this is the last stitch here. You can see our yarn's coming out of it. And we're gonna go into the back loop only and go underneath this yarn. Try not to go over top of it. There you go. So it kind of looks like this to start, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of pull it a little bit tighter. So you can see it's like more of an invisible, like we've just made up a stitch here, and it kind of rounds this edge out. So that's how I like to do that. There you go. So now we've got our little circular shape. And I've kind of designated this ending bit to be the bottom because it's kind of got like a flatter edge here. So I like to pick this as my bottom, but we're gonna start working on the little like upside down V shape thingies that go on top of the belly now. Okay, so to do that, we are going to take, I don't know, like some scrap gray yarn, the same yarn as the body. And I'm just gonna throw it on my needle here. And I like to start in the middle. So we're only doing 3 V's. I know that like Big Totoro has way more than that. What does he have? Like, I think there's like 4 on the top and then 5 on the bottom, right? But just because we're working so small, it's just easier to kind of make everything a little bit smaller. So I like to go from the middle. I've designated this to be my bottom. And so I take the top part and I pull the yarn through, leaving like enough of a tail that it doesn't like get lost. And then I'm gonna go like down 1, 2. So this is 1 row, 2 rows. I'm gonna go down and over and make a V shape. Just like that. And then I'm gonna come out the same spot on the top. Try not to go over here and then go back up. I like to go from the top again and then go over here. And sometimes you have to split like a stitch, and that's totally fine. Just make it like work. Make it work for you. So make it as much of a like an even V shape, upside down V shape as possible. And then we're gonna go over and go work on one side. So we're gonna take the same spot in the round. So here we came out the top of the V here. We're gonna go around and come out at the top of the V here. And then we are going to make another V. So I go down kind of two sets of stitches. If I have to split a stitch, I do. And then we go out the top. And then I try and like see where it should land and then kind of put my needle there, right? And then we go over to the other side. So we're gonna take the same spot in the ring, right? We're going in this little round. And we're gonna try and line it up as much with the other point as possible because we kind of want it to be even, kind of. And then make another V shape. Always going back up to the top before you come back down again. You can kind of guess where they're gonna sit, and if you don't like them, then you can pull them back out again, but that's not too bad. I think they're quite even. So, I mean, this one looks a little bit bigger than this one, but I think I can handle, that. And now we're gonna go to the back, and I'm just gonna try and make this knot go around one of these bars in the back. So, I just kind of looped it around the bar, so I have one strand going under these bars, and then one strand going under this bar. So then when I tie them together, it'll be anchored on a bar. Try not to pull too tight on the first knot part, and then you can kind of trim the excess. Oop, let me sharpen my scissors. Okay, So if you want to trim this piece too, that's fine. I kind of just wrap it up in there and it'll be hidden once we sew it in. So that's our belly part done. So now we can start assembling. Okay, so we have all of these pieces here. So we have the belly, we have the tail, we've got the 2 ears. We can throw our stitch marker away with our crochet hook, and now we can start sewing them on. I prefer to start with the belly because that's like straight on, right? I use the eyeballs as a reference and I go kind of 1, 2 rows down. I kind of just position it to where I think it'll fit best because you can't go up too high, can't go down too low. So I kind of just go smack in the middle. And then what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take some pins. Look at my Angie coffee is Angie because I've pinned him. I'm gonna start pinning it just roughly where I want it here. Just around. You don't have to do too much because it's already like kind of forms to the body here. And try not to like stretch the piece out too much. Try to just like place it down and like that's where it's gonna be. So we are gonna take our yarn tail now and thread it onto our needle. And so the key with this is that we're not going to go under both loops when we're sewing it in. I'm gonna zoom you guys in, but we're not gonna go under both of these loops. We're only gonna go under one. So that's not actually where I have to start, but to start, we are going to go into the body. So I try and find somewhere that's like very close by. So I don't wanna go like all the way like down here, like that's too far away. Like push the piece against the body and see where it naturally wants to go. And I think right there is pretty good. So that is going to be our first stitch in. And so for the next stitch, we are going to take the next stitch over and we're gonna just take this, this closer loop here. I guess it would be your back loop if we were still like crocheting, but we're gonna take this closer loop to the body and just go through that 1/2 of the stitch here. I've kind of, looks like I've picked up too much yarn, but only take the 1/2 of the stitch and then you'll go into the body over. So take each 1/2 of the stitch. So you can see that like the remaining is here, like we still have those stitches here, but we're not sewing them down. And again, try not to pull too far away from the body because then you'll get like these little lines will be more noticeable. So you just want to kind of like almost go underneath where those stitches would sit. And there is a reason why I'm doing it. I guess I can show you here. When you're looking head on, it creates like more of a rounded shape. Obviously, if you tilt it to one side, you can see those stitches. So that's why it's helpful to go like further underneath, but it keeps this more rounded shape rather than like, it kind of pulls it into a different shape when you do both of the stitches. So it makes a nice clear circle around there. So that's kind of why I decided on doing it this way. But if you find the other way easier and you like the look of it, go for it. Like just sew it down. Just get it on the body. So I'm gonna go around. I'm probably not gonna talk too much. I'll probably just speed this section up. And if you've got this on lock, you can just pause it and then meet me back at the end. Okay, so I have gotten back to my very first stitch. And remember, this one's a fake stitch. So you kind of just want to try and find, like do your best to find that back loop only of that fake stitch. And then we should be done. Okay, so all we have to do to make sure that it doesn't completely unravel on us, I just kind of go under a stitch, pull up a loop, and then sew through the loop. And then go down, hide the yarn tail through the body, and then all you have to do is trim the yarn tail. There we go. All right, now moving on to the ears. So the ears are going to be positioned more so where you like them. So the way that I designed the top of the head is to remain flat so that we have a flat spot to put the ears. So I tend to like to put them like, so this is the magic circle, right? I like to put them on that first ring that we have. So it would be our increase round. So you can see kind of like right there. So we don't really want to go into this magic circle round, but like kind of just beside it here. So I tend not to use pins because this is such a small piece. But if it makes you feel better to use pins, that's totally fine. But remember that we have like natural shaping to these ears. So if you put them on this way, obviously you've got the thinner edge that way, but I want to put them on this way. So just keep in mind that when you're sewing it down. I'm just going to kind of find where I want it. We want it like right across the center here. So I'm gonna kind of just pick a spot that feels good, and then we are going to stitch in every stitch that we have here. So I'm gonna go along, and wherever it feels kind of natural to put the ear, after I've gotten that first anchoring sew of the stitch down, that's kind of like, it kind of just naturally forms into place, and I just find the spot where it naturally wants to sit. Because if you pull it too far, it'll just be like obvious where your stitches are, and we kind of just want it all to blend together. So slowly stitch around wherever kind of it naturally falls. We're doing it in the same way that we sewed down the bunny. So the belly. So we're going like into the piece, into both stitches of the ears instead of just one. And then both stitches, both loops of the ears, and then back down. And then I kind of just leave it here. So don't like absolutely secure it in, because sometimes when we put our other ear on, we don't like it, and then we have to move things around. So don't like tie it in just yet. Just kind of like let it hang there for a sec while we stitch in the other ear. So the other ear is gonna go similar spot, but on the other side of the head. I think this is my bigger ear of the two. So we'll see how that looks once we're all sewn in. Okay, and just my last stitch here. And if I like the shape of them and I'm okay with this, then I am going to make sure to tie it in and secure it into place. So I like to pull it to the back so I can see. And I think that's good. I think that's fine. You can see like the ear, like look how different that is. Like this has a tighter tension than this one. Isn't that wild? It's just a tension difference. Literally, the ears are about the same, but like look how much smaller it is just because of my tension one day versus another. It's wild, absolutely wild. So I'm just gonna stitch these in. These ears are a little bit large just because of my tension differences, but it's fine. He looks cute. So we're gonna tie that in, hide the yarn through the piece. Same thing with this side because we didn't tie it in yet. Through the piece. Okay, and now we are going to trim the excess on either side. And we can use those for stuffing later or something. Or if we want to make another one, we can use them for the little pieces here. I don't mind the eyes, actually. The eyes are actually okay. I mean, it's a little bit wonky, but I don't mind them. I think they look kind of cute. But there we go. Now, I always do the tail last because it's the most awkward thing when you're like trying to like, when there's something there and you're like, oh, I can't do anything on this side. So I always do the tail last. it is like key to go back and forth with like seeing how this fits with your piece, and about where it lands should be enough to support it. So the ending tail on the bottom here, and like once you flip it down, it should be just enough to like sit on the table. You don't want it too high that it's like not gonna sit on the table properly. You want it to be low enough that it sits on the table. So I kind of find that spot, I hold it, and then try and grab a pin with another hand and like pin it in a couple of places to not lose the spot. So then I just make sure that it's like in the middle of the ears. And if it's not, then I'll move it over a little bit. So that should be good. And just make sure that it's not too high or too low. And then we sew it in. So you're gonna stitch in every single stitch of the tail to the body in both back and front loops of those stitches. So you're gonna pick up each one of the stitches. Try not to pick up any of the stuffing in the piece, because then that'll make like the stuffing kind of pop out, and we don't really want that. So try and like not grab any of the stuffing if you can. And your tail should already be stuffed from prior, but if it's not stuffed, make sure to just give it a gentle stuffing now. Just a couple of stitches away from the end here, and then my last stitch, if I can find it. Bingo bango. Okay, so we are looking good in terms of like the center. Just try one more time to see if it like is in the right spot here before you make a knot and hide the yarn tail. Okay, there's my knot. Yarn tail through the piece. Because we have a knot, I don't tend to, you know, do the double wrapping that we did, but that should be fine. And then trim the excess. Bingo bango. Beautiful, look at him, he's so cute. Hopefully you guys liked the pattern. If you did, feel free to give the video a like or let me know in the comments. I always love hearing your feedback, and I always make changes as I go. But yeah, if you've made one of these and you've posted on social media, please tag me. I love to see your guys' version. And yeah, hopefully I will see you guys soon. I have a Hollow Knight pattern in the works. If you have no idea what that is, that's totally fine. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.